What's going on, CUT Collective? This is Rev Sheree. I'm here with the Rewind Podcast. This is where we look back on the lessons, the sermons, the workshops from Christ Universal Temple based in Chicago, Illinois. I am excited to be here. I am Director of Online Ministry at CUT, and it's my delight to be here. You guys forgive me in advance. I'm really excited because we're in my favorite zone, which is relationships. The series that we've been working through the past, 5 or 6 weeks have been all about relationships. And the culmination of all of that was this powerful panel. If you didn't see it, go to YouTube, go to Facebook, and make sure that you watch the panel discussion. Some fabulous couples I'll name them in a second, but a really, really powerfully packed, real practical, like I'm living this truth panel. And it was facilitated by the marvelous, the wonderful Jason and Tina Marie Scott, who, y'all about to know that's what we're going to talk to today, right? So I'm flipping the tables on them. They were facilitating the conversation during the lesson, and I am going to flip the script on them. They better get ready for me because I'm coming with it. No, they asked some very difficult questions. And I think that for everyone on the panel, they had the opportunity to really, really take their marriages and their relationships and share the pain, share the joy, share the strategies they have for being in loving, committed relationships. And so we're going to glean all we can. We're going to get all the jewels and gems out of the conversation. But more importantly than that, we'll get a chance to really explore these concepts through the eyes of Jason and Tina Marie. So I'm excited about that. Now, here's what I need you to do. I know that we are going live here today. It's 5 o'clock Central. What I want to invite you to do is, if you're watching right now, begin the share process. Go ahead and share this out with your friends who are live. If you are listening to this later down the line, you can share it in too, right? You can share anytime you choose. But I want to make sure that if you have questions, that you get the opportunity to ask. Now, if you're watching this and you're like, hey, when does the rewind go live? I want to invite you to go ahead and join the CUT Collective on Facebook. We make sure that you get all the information right away. And so just go to Facebook, right? And it is the CUT Collective Worldwide. You can find us there. I put it up on the screen as one of the groups. And we're also creating a WhatsApp group, right? So the WhatsApp group is going to probably launch in a couple of weeks with a new program that is going to kick off about creating powerful affirmations to change your life. It's called Manifest. And so for those who are interested in joining the WhatsApp group, you'll be able to do that in the next week or so. So without further ado, if you go ahead and you're sharing it, if you're going ahead and letting everybody know in your community that we are here, I'm looking for my Pied Pipers to join in to make sure that we are, okay, I'm sorry, I'm just looking at my things going on here. Just make sure that we are blasting this out to as many people as possible. So without further ado, I'm gonna bring on my guests, these powerful lovers, these powerful authors, powerful speakers who are coming here to share their love, to share their strategies, to share their hearts with us. And so come on in, sugars. We're playing clips, wrong link. Okay, we go.
All right, so excited.
Either way, we're here.
You're here.
Yay.
Yeah, welcome to the Rewind. I'm so excited to have you here.
Hey, we're so excited to be here.
Yes, we are so excited to be here. We love it.
I feel like there's a little competition going on as to who is the dopest guest. You know, the guys are always on the panel, Reverend Wells, Reverend Gayla and Gavin, and Reverend Rod. But it's a joy to have you here. I appreciate you saying yes to coming on and keeping the energy going from Sunday. So tell me, how was that experience, pulling everybody together and talking in a very short amount of time to a lot of people? How was that experience?
You know, it's very funny you said to keep it going, because all of the panelists have actually still been on a high. It was such a wonderful, impactful, more than we could have ever imagined it to be. And just being in that atmosphere, everyone is just buzzing, like literally buzzing. And so it was just a great experience. And, I'll let Jason say, when people say, how did it go?
Oh, yeah. People ask me, it's like, well, how did it go? I said, I expected it to go great and it went better than that. Mm-hmm. That's all I like to say.
Yeah.
So you have a lot that you want to cover. You have a short amount of time. And I prayed all week for more time, right?
Like he was going to magically appear.
And every prayer call that I was on, I said, guys, pray for me because I need more time. Right. So I got it done in the time that I needed to get done.
And God worked it out.
It did.
We absolutely got on a little extra and it worked out without having to rush. It was great.
For us to meet all of our timelines and stuff, that's Tina Marie. Right. Me, I can run my mouth. Every time I wanted to ad-lib something, she go, baby, you can't put 2 extra words in. We're done.
I will tell you, see, I get away. I will admit I do get away with a lot because they'll play you off.
Yeah,
they'll play you off the stage. But no, I think that honoring people's time. It's like this is a chance to kind of do that next level, and maybe we'll have to bring some of the couples on because I can do whatever I want here on the Rewind. I've been given authority and dominion.
Wonderful.
We have a
really
podcast.
Fun to do.
We have a podcast as well. And one time, our podcast is an hour. We went 2 hours. So it's such a great thing when you can kind of, you can play with the time a little bit.
Yeah.
But we'll have to play. So we'll dive in. And but I want to just acknowledge the powerful love that was coming from the stage, and just to honor your yes. And declaring order and maintaining order is a powerful gift, and it was definitely on display there. So everybody got a chance to share their heart, and and just great job. That's really what I want to say. Great job all around.
Well, thank you. Thank you. And they say thank you as well.
Yes.
Yeah. So the first thing I'm going to ask, because I got lots of things I want to say to you, because good luck with us getting through this in an hour. But I wanted to.
I have nothing else on my calendar because I know how I can go.
Listen. So what I wanted to say is everybody's kind of sharing their story. There are all these blended families. I would love for you to tell us your love story.
Our love story?
Yeah.
Oh, it's so ancient.
I'll let you go because I'll let you tell your part.
It's typical. Girl meets boy.
Yeah.
Girl puts boy in friend zone.
Oh.
For 2 years.
You know what? That still hurts, right? You know how you get something in the pit of your stomach? It's just something about friend and zone. They don't go together with me.
Go together for
stuck
you.
In there.
Not when you don't want to be stuck there.
Right. It's so funny because one of the panelists, she's been my friend for over 40 years. And the one who was sitting right to the left of me, her and I have been friends for over 40 years, and I actually met Jason through her. She met a guy, and they were going on a date, and I happened to be over at her house. She was like, oh, he's coming to pick me up. Do you mind being here when they get here? Because I don't want to be here alone, when the gentleman comes to pick me up. So I had no idea that another guy was coming with, the friend.
Right.
So that's kind of how we met.
Right. So my version of this story is my buddy goes, hey, Jay, you want to go out? I'm like, he's like, yeah, I'm going over Cat. Well, we met her around Halloween and she was dressed up as a cat. So I referred to her as Cat. He's like, I'm going over Cat's house. Would you like to go? I'm like, no, I don't want to go. He said, oh, man, you know what? Her girl's going to be over there. And she said that she wouldn't be interested in you. I said, oh, yeah, I'm going.
Oh, you leave out the good part. Why wouldn't she be interested in you?
Oh, because she's a head turner. I said, oh, yeah.
That part.
I'm definitely going up in there today, right? So I'm going in there. So I am like off the chain, right? Like, oh, you're not going to like me anyway. I said, you're not going to like me anyway. So here we go, right? So I'm walking in the door. I'm talking big crap, all this other stuff. But I didn't know that my buddy was supposed to take her to the movies. Well, what happened was we went to the movies. So we showed up like 3 or 4 hours late. So she's hot. Tina's mad.
I told her, don't let him in. Don't let them in. She was like, but he's here. I was like, don't let him in. That's just so disrespectful.
I'm walking in being all sarcastic as I can possibly be. Didn't realize the temperature in the room was already boiling.
And I was like, back in those days, there was no cell phone.
Right.
So there was no way to call and say, hey, what's happening? So I think he was supposed to be there at 12 and they showed up like at 6 or 7 at night.
Yep. Because we went to the movies.
That's a long time.
Right. So then I walk in there. So we're taking shots. Shots are going there around everywhere, right? No alcohol, but it was insults, right? Her friend couldn't make Kool-Aid. I mean, it was just, it was bad. It was all down here, right? So we going around. So I'm bored. So I grew up with sisters. And, Tina got so bored, she pulled out some nail polish. And then I said, hey, you want, I can polish your nails. And then he goes, yeah. I'm like, yeah. So I got down on my knee and I started polishing her nail. And he's like, Jay, what are you doing, man? What are you polishing her nail? I made one mistake I looked up into her eyes, and when I looked in her eyes, I said, "Man, she got some beautiful eyes." I was like, "But I'm not supposed to like her." I mean, like, yeah, no, right. So, and then from that, we gave them some time alone. We went and walked around the cemetery, and I had just recently
That's
broke
weird,
up.
really weird, right?
Yeah.
Our first time we met, we went for a walk, and we ended up
We wanted to
walking
be
around
alone.
the cemetery.
Right, we wanted to be alone.
And it was okay. It wasn't
Right.
scary. It was kind of natural, and really, our conversation was really went well. But the funny thing is, I was on my way off to college,
Right,
and Jason had just broken up with his girlfriend.
right.
So the whole conversation the entire night was about his heartbreak,
Yeah,
his ex-girlfriend.
yeah, because she was going to be a friend. She was going away. She didn't want to like me anyway.
But it
Mhm.
started a good friendship
Yeah.
because we were able to be ourselves.
Yeah.
There
Yeah,
was
yeah, that makes
no,
a huge
I didn't have to be something else. I was like, I'm on my way off to college, and we were just having a conversation between two people. So he wasn't trying to hit on me. I wasn't trying to deflect. It
No.
was just a good conversation.
I love when I hear stories like that because I think that sometimes we throw our relationships in the microwave real quick. And we want to have it happen real quick. And it's like that I'm growing together with someone. That I'm growing together with someone and things we're getting to know each other and we're showing our real selves to one another. Even if there's attraction underneath it, right? I
Right,
think
Right.
And this is the funny thing. So I think that was in November.
Yep, November 15th.
November 15th.
I mean, but who's keeping up with dates? I mean, like, really?
So that was November 15th, and
Right.
I wasn't leaving off for college until January.
Yep.
So every day from that day till the day I left for college,
Yep.
we spent every
Every-
day together, and just
Yep.
friends,
And friends.
just friends.
Just friends and,
Hanging out,
and some
having fun.
wonderful music. A
I-
lot of Isley Brothers,
I want to
Shaw
call
Lights,
foul on the play. I think
Yeah.
when you polished her fingernails that you
I
had
had
some intentions, whether it was conscious or unconscious. I think
Yeah.
that I think you were trying to show off there.
I was showing off because, see, I had a feminine side that I knew that I could tap into, right? So most men wouldn't get down there and do that. I was special. I knew that, right?
Well, let me tell you even further. So when I went off to college, he
Oh,
kept
man.
in touch with my family.
Mother in particular.
I called one time, and my mom and my sister's like, "Oh, Jason was here. He took mom to the
Yep.
store," and I'm like,
Yep.
it's like that side play,
Yeah, that's it. You know,
But
Very
Mom
smooth.
needed a ride. I had a ride.
he kept connections.
Yep.
Very smooth, very smooth. I love it. I love it. I listen. I'm grabbing up the gems out of this because I think that there's, like I said, we throw it in the microwave, and I love that there was a simmering, there was a joy that came from it. Are you guys hearing me? Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. I was telling
Okay.
him to turn me up a little bit.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Great. So okay. All right. So Sunday. Powerful questions that were posed to our panelists. And so let me name the panelists because they were really, really wonderful.
Mhm.
Tommy and Vanya Bankhead,
Vanya.
David and Lisa, say it again.
Vanya.
Yeah, it's a but it's
Vanya.
Vanya.
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Tommy
yeah.
and Vanya Bankhead. I'm saying it right. Vanya.
Yep.
Yes. Mhm.
David and Lisa Saunders,
Yep.
Reverend Jeffrey and Andrea Wills,
Mhm.
Andrea.
and Andrea. I know Andrea.
I know.
And Henry Hopkinson. So he was the one on there that was in a relationship, but they weren't married yet.
He was in the
Committed.
right. He was in the
Committed.
committed
In the
relationship.
committed relationship. Okay.
Yep.
All right. So I think that one of the things that piggybacked, and I think that probably Reverend Galen, everybody's probably writing a sermon about green light, red light, and yellow light, because I feel like I had something like that in the kitty one day, but he brought that to light. Like, yeah, there are these signs. And so you talked about getting to yellow lights in your relationship, these caution signs, these beware, and that we will blow past them. We won't pay attention to them. So even the red lights, sometimes we blow past. And you look at your relationship like, how did I even get here? Right? How did we
Yep.
get to this place? So I'm going to play a clip because I think that, your opening question to them about how they think about their partners and how it affects them day to day. I want to pair that with, I'm going to come back I won't bury the lead, but just kind of
Mhm.
thinking about how you set intentions so that you don't ignore the yellow light. So
Yellow.
let's listen to
Okay.
the first clip.
And so my thoughts about her is I want you at your best so that way you can be at your best for not only me, but for our family. And a lot of times when people think about reaping and sowing, they forget one important part when it comes to reaping. And that component is you have to prune. you have to pluck away. And so my thoughts every morning is, what do I have to do in order to rid myself of something negatively, emotionally, spiritually, in order for me to be the best, for her to be the best concerning me and our family. So my thought is to always be my best in order to reap and to receive the best out of her.
Well said.
Good stuff, right? Good
Yeah.
stuff.
Wasn't that? That was
Yeah.
Reverend Jeffrey Wells. Like that was really powerful, especially thinking about the pruning.
Yep.
Yes.
And I think that's kind of where it's like, so when you're growing together, you've been together for many years, even though you're super young, you've been together for many
Super.
years. And
Yes.
I would imagine that knowing each other and how you've changed over the years, you know, things come up, right? So how have
Yep.
you pruned? How have you set intentions so that you can keep knowing one another in the current iteration of you?
Oh, the current iteration, man.
Well, we follow what we teach,
Well,
and
that's
that's
true too.
why we teach it, right?
Mhm.
We're not teaching from
Theory. It's practical things that we've used. We've
we're
actually
teaching
used
from experience, right? And
Mhm.
so
experience and principles as well, right? We took the
and knowledge,
principles
yeah.
and used them in our relationship as well, because we didn't just want to be married. We didn't want to be married for a long time. We wanted to be happy, right? I wanted to come home and feel happy in my home.
Yeah.
I wanted to actually love my wife and my kids, right? That's what we wanted to
Or
do.
continue that honeymoon phase way beyond the honeymoon,
Right.
right?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
we always say the ultimate goal in life is to be happy, right? If you're happy, then you're loving, then you're kind, then you're positive. Like there's so many things that go along with that. It's that energy, right? So if I'm carrying around a negative energy towards my spouse, it doesn't matter where I show up, I'm going to still be carrying that, and it's going to interfere in other relationships. So pruning was about really me realizing, just as Jeffrey said, what do I need to rid myself of so that I can show up as a better Tina, so that we can have a better marriage? Because, you know, we get what we are. I can't expect to give him low energy and expect for him to turn around and say, oh, baby, I love you so much because you're hating on me right now, right? No, that's not going to happen. You know,
I think that's one of the things we found out early on, right? When we're upset and we're angry because we're not getting what we want, right? So I'm going to give you energy down here, but I'm expecting love and energy up here, and it doesn't work. It doesn't match. So we said that, okay, I'm unhappy and I'm upset. We'll learn how to talk about it, so we can disagree with respect. So we can all come up to the level that we really want to be loved at, because in the end, that's what we want to be heard and we want to be loved.
And it was the mindset, right? The
Mhm.
mindset where I need to shift my perspective.
Right.
It's not what he's doing to me, but why do I feel the way I feel? Or why do I feel like I'm not being loved, or I'm not receiving what I need? So it was the mindset, just what we talked about, right? The mindset, the intention, and the awareness. As we said, it was MIA. So that
Mhm.
stands MIA. And if you're MIA, you're missing in action. You're there and not there. If you don't have the mindset to realize, hey, what's really going on? What is my intention in my relationship? And then how am I aware of what I'm doing so that I can now change it? So that it was a lot of pruning, and we got married really young, but it was, you know, I think the relationship built a very good foundation, and then having truth principles just kind of really coupled it together. It's funny because Jason and I the very first time we went out, we went to CUT.
Right.
At that time, they were having a Wednesday service or something special going on, and he asked if I wanted to go out, and I was like, well, I'm going to church.
Well, I said, how long is church? First. That's the first question.
So I told him, I was like,
How
I'm going
long
to-
is church?
Right. And I was like, it's 1 hour. He's like, you sure?
For sure. I like it. We're
Yeah.
not running over, are we? I mean, so she's like, no, it's 1 hour. I'm like, okay.
And he writes in our book, the new book that we have, that he realized that when he got to CUT, it wasn't that he was going for me. He realized that it was a calling for him to come home. He felt at home when he got there. And that was the most wonderful thing that could have happened in our relationship, because now we're both studying the principles. We're both, you know, as we talked about on the panel, equally yoked, right? So I'm not.
And we were young. You know, we were young at that point, right? So we were still trying to figure out life and each other individually, right? So we get in here. I'm like, man, it's like, this is exactly what I've been looking for my whole entire life, although I was only, you know, real young. So it was a younger
Super
life
young.
that I was looking for. Yeah.
Well, when you're younger, you think you know everything anyway, right?
I did. Yep.
Yeah, so I think that there's a lot to it, because equally yoked, you talked about being at the same level. And sometimes people think about being equally yoked at the beginning of a relationship, but that equally yoked is a perpetual reach. Like you're constantly looking
yes,
at, are we at that same level of awareness? Are we, matching energy? Like, like
Right.
am I trying, like you said, I love that. Am I trying to reap more than I am sowing? And that's typically where relationships to me kind of fall off balance. Any form of relationships
and
is trying
and
to
just
get more than you give, or give way more than
yes,
you're getting.
yes,
Yeah,
and
and what we teach is negotiating your non-negotiables.
absolutely.
Mhm.
Those are those yellow.
Mhm.
Those are
There's a
those yellow
yellow,
lights,
right,
right?
right, and then you wonder how you got there. Yeah, but once you start to negotiate on your non-negotiables, everything's out the window
So
because
tell me
you've
one of
already
your
given up so much.
non-negotiables.
Hmm?
Tell me one of your
I did not want
non-negotiables.
someone who smoked
And
or
I
drank.
and I didn't want a young lady who had children
Very,
and
and
smoke or drink either.
so those are super clear. Those are, I want people to know,
Super
you got
clear.
to have qualifiers, you
Right,
know.
So
right.
it's not, oh, well,
Yep,
he smokes sometimes or he
yep.
smokes outside or, it's not that bad. No,
I
I did not want someone who smoked or drank. And
Mhm.
that was like,
Yeah, I passed that test, baby. I didn't do any of that stuff. But I also wanted someone that I knew that if I had kids with or children,
Mhm.
um, that they would be a great mom, right? They
Mhm.
would take care of them, right? Whether we worked out or not, that I knew that the kids would be well taken care of. So that was
Mhm.
important to me.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. So what you want and what you're clear that you don't want, and I work with a lot of singles and coaching. And one of the things I'll talk about is sometimes we're so focused on what we don't want that we're not really clear on what we
what we
do
do
want.
want.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so, but those non-negotiables I think are important to have, right? This isn't just for everybody, right? There are
Right,
some
right.
very specific things, personality wise, consciousness wise, that I think you got to know about. You got to know for yourself.
And I know we got a lot of questions, but even to just go further into that, when I met Jason, just as friends, I
Hmm.
knew then that he had qualities that I respected and wanted in a husband. I was like, wow, he
Mhm.
would be a great dad. Just the attention from a friendship that he gave me. Just imagine if we were in a courtship, old word, if we were in a relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just the
Yeah.
qualities of being a gentleman, being
Mhm.
respectful, having
Mhm.
standards and morals, just the things that you don't know everything, but you do know, like, wow, that is definitely a quality that I want.
Yeah, you got to know what those ingredients are, those core ingredients, so that you can, bake that cake. You want to
Yeah.
bake the right
Yeah.
cake, right? You got
Yep.
to know. You
And
got
I
to
never
know.
had a list. I didn't have a list. I just knew, my non-negotiables. I never had a list like he has to be this and do this and do this. You just know when you know, like, wow, this guy has, the qualities that, you know,
Right.
that are important to me.
So I think this was Andrea who said this. I'm going to play this clip because she talked about how the real work begins within. Because I,
Hmm.
I I I know that for those who are in relationships that need a rebirth, those who want to start new relationships, that sometimes you go immediately outside, like what can I do and everything. But she talked about the work going within. I'm going to play this clip and we'll unpack it a little bit.
Well, I think the first thing that I would say, just growing up as a Johnny Coleman baby, things that I've learned is what you think about is what you bring about. So if you think that way, that it's not going to happen for you, then it probably will not. But one of the things that I had to tap into, even though I am a true student and I know how to use the power of my thoughts, when it came to romantic relationships, it just didn't work the same. I had to figure out a different formula, and that formula was feelings. That was something I was like, ooh, feelings, okay. But feelings as it related even just to myself. How do I feel about myself? How do I want to be treated? How do I want to show up in a relationship and then act accordingly, whether that person is there yet or not? And we talk about the law of attraction, and so I feel like if you do that, it will bring to you what it is. And even if it doesn't, you will still be in a place of your own where you feel good and happy and you're loving on yourself and other people are loving on you. And so that's what I would say. Just be patient. And if it's something you really desire, you not only have to change your thinking, but you have to change the way you treat yourself, do the work on you first. And then the universe has no choice but to bring to you the thing that you already are.
That's all the thing the universe can do. It gives to you what you are.
The universe gives to you what you are.
Yep.
So you've been in a relationship for a little bit, right?
Just a little bit.
And, just a little bit. And so you've attracted each other based on, that initial consciousness, right? So
Yep.
how do you make changes in your relationship? Like, how have you adapted, is a better word, and grown together? Some of what you had to discover within yourself. What are some inner changes you've had to have?
Well, like we have a conversation. Like I didn't understand everything, obviously, but when Tina would come to me and say, "This is not working for me. This is not working for me for this reason," or I'm not liking where this relationship is at this particular time. We need to work on that. I didn't always say much, but I listened and I kind of understood. But later on in life, I became a better communicator. But for the most time, I didn't know. I was like, okay, fine. I'm like, you're unhappy. I mean, like, we're doing everything that we're supposed to, but there's some nuances in the relationship that you just don't get. As a man, I just didn't understand what she meant. I'm like, if we're in the house together, we together. I mean, come on.
And his understanding his communication pattern. So for a man, I'm supposed to be strong and I'm supposed to listen and provide, or I'm supposed to fix it. Right. Which means his way of fixing it in communication was, I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to allow you to speak and speak your mind. And then I'm just going to shut down. I'm not going to say anything, which was not communication.
Right.
It was really the lack of. And so, and part of our relationship from the very beginning, we've always grown together. We took basic truth principles 1 together. We took 2, like a majority of our classes, we started off, I think we may have just been newlyweds, just a few months into marriage, and we took basic truth principle 1.
Right. We got married in that June, and that fall we were taking classes.
So, but even understanding that, so that gave us a good springboard to fix the communication.
Yeah.
So we've always tried to improve it. We've gone to workshops. We read books. Early on, I read marriage books in my marriage. Even not even realizing it. Really, just okay. Reading Fit to Be Tied, or books that talked about relationships, which helped me to understand that when you come from different backgrounds and you come from a different experience, that your expectations are different.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so just understanding, how do we get to that point of, again, shifting our perspective where we can be empathetic with each other. I can see your point of view and now you can see my point of view. But we had to get to a place, and early on we created this little space called Love Talks, which means that when I say, okay, we need to have a love talk, and really we had to recreate the relationship. Because we create the relationships that we're in.
Right.
So we created that relationship, whether it was dysfunctional, not communicating well, we created it. So we had to recreate it. And in order to do that, we had to find a way where we can put that part down. Right. So we created this space called Love Talk. So when I said, Jason, we need a love talk, it was sort of like, we need to talk.
Oh, don't say that. I knew you were going to use that as an example. You know that made my stomach kind of queasy.
Men don't like that. We need to talk, right?
Yeah.
Well, no one does, I guess, right? We need to talk.
Because nothing good comes after that statement. We need to talk. Well, if it was good, you would tell me.
Right. We just come and tell you. So we had to create a space where a word where we created a safe space. We're now putting down Tina and Jason.
Yep.
We're coming into this space with no expectations. Whoever's talking, the other person's just listening.
And I'm not trying to fix anything.
And we're just listening.
Say that part again, Jason.
Yep. I'm not trying to fix anything, because that's my problem. Like when she would tell me something, I would try to fix it. Right. So I stopped listening and I'm going into fix it mode in my mind. Like, okay, I know she don't like that. I'm going to stop doing it. So the rest of the stuff that she's telling me, I'm not paying attention to anymore.
Right over your head. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. And then you find yourself repeating it again. Like, didn't we just talk about that?
And then I'm confused. Like, why am I back in this conversation again when I did what she asked me to do? Yeah.
Which he didn't do what I asked him to do. He did what he thought was to fix the problem. So we had to, recreate the parts of our relationship that wasn't working.
Yeah.
And it came from actually training, reading, doing, knowledge, the principles, putting these things into your life, not just like I said Sunday, not just knowing them, or verbatim being able to recite them, but
Right.
actually applying them. That's the difference. What are you doing with the knowledge that you are obtaining?
Yeah, and it's important, I think, that from both perspectives. Thank you for sharing that, and thanks for repeating that too, because for the men in the back, um, fixing it is not the remedy to
No.
every conversation. And it's difficult because I get it. I get how love wants to present that way, right? Is that, I'm just going to make it better, as opposed
Right.
to holding space for someone to experience their feelings. It's a different way to approach a conversation. So love talks. You guys are catching these gems, right? That you can pull
Yeah.
out and implement into any relationship, because I love all of them, right? You can have a
Yeah.
love talk with God. You can have a love talk with your family. You can have a love talk with a friend. But I love that idea. I have another name for it, but I love love talks
Mhm.
as a
And
concept. Yeah.
yeah, and what that does is, so when she says that, or we say that, then all electronics goes off. I'm just undivided attention, right? I'm just in listening mode. Whoever calls for it, the other person's in listening mode, right?
And all the walls come down,
Yeah.
right? The wall. So
Mhm.
normally
I'm not
when
trying
you
to think about what is she actually saying
right.
here.
So it gave us a space to actually just be vulnerable and be ourselves,
Right.
not carry all of these 16, 17, 18 issues, but just one issue at a time, right? Let's talk about this and let's see if we can understand what's causing it. So, and
Mhm.
all the while, we went into that space, just no expectations. Nobody is in, I'm in fighting mode, right?
Right.
I have to defend myself, or so
Yeah.
it was an opportunity to just really speak as friends.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. That's beautiful. It's beautiful. This is like real life work. Like,
Yeah.
we fantasize about relationships. I have many, many friends who are married who really help me. I'm not married, and they
Mhm.
help me to take the fantasy out of marriage and understand
Yes,
that
yes.
it's a working project, right? It is.
Yep.
You
It's
gotta
like,
give attention to it.
it's like
Yep.
anything. At work, you have to work.
Yes.
Am I
Mhm.
right? So you get a job and you have to get new skills. You have to learn. It's anything is work, and it's not hard work. It's just work that is rewarding. It's again intention. What do you want out of your relationship? You have to be willing to put in. So when we talk about reaping and sowing, you can't just plant the seed. How are you watering that seed? How are you
Mhm.
nurturing that seed? How are you cultivating the seed? So we can't look at it as it's hard work,
Right.
but if you don't do it, it can become hard,
Oh,
right?
it,
Because
it
then you're
become
pulling a
hard.
bunch of weeds.
Right.
And so, but if you make sure that you go into it without the fantasy,
There you
but
go.
there's a little fantasy in there too. There's a lot of room for fantasy.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can make those fantasies come true. Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
Well, I mean, yes, yeah. So listen, no, my idea, what I'm talking about for fantasy, is not that you can't have magic and beauty and romance and all that good stuff in a relationship, but to think that you can get there without intention and without the emotional work, the growth. Like,
Yes.
that's the part where it's like,
Or the
I have to
self
grow.
work. The
Your
Yeah.
self
self-worth.
work.
Right. You have to be good. It's interesting because, sometimes gentlemen say, man, I want a relationship like what you have. I said, if you want a relationship with like I have, you willing to pull in the work like I have? I mean, like, this just didn't happen, man. I mean, like, who I am now is not the person I started out. And when we started out in this relationship, right? Every so
Mhm.
often we evolve. My needs change, her needs change. It's time to elevate. It's time to move to the next level, right? And we have to make sure we're on one accord. Like, when it's time to move, baby, I'm ready to go to this. I want to do this. She's like, I don't want to do this anymore. Okay, fine. So we have to get on board and just like, okay, you taking the lead on this, and then I'll sit back and then I'll take the lead on something else. So, we go back and forth on that. But people say, your wife, your wife's strong. She runs you. I'm like, okay, cool. I said, but if it makes me happy, I'm good. So you should be good with it. I said, one thing you can't do, you can't
That's a
tell me.
fantasy.
I said, you can't tell. I know, right? I said, one thing you cannot do, you cannot tell me about myself. I'm very good about me, right? So you can't tell me about me. You can't make me shame about myself, right? So you looking
Mhm.
at something, you going, saying this, that, and the other. And I tell people that all the time, like, oh man, you don't understand, but you're not supposed to understand because you're on the outside looking in.
And
Right, right,
that
right.
brings up a very good point. We allow each other to be who we are.
Yes.
He's not what is the word? He's not intimidated
Oh no.
by my strength.
No.
Right?
Mhm.
He allows me to be whatever I need to be in that moment.
That's
And
it.
I'm not intimidated by his strengths, right? And we try to elevate and help each other where we're weak at.
Right.
You know, we fill in the gaps. Okay, if I'm strong in this, you know, he'll tell me, he'll ask me to do something, and I'll say, no, I don't want to do that. He'll be like, baby, let's stay in our lanes. You know, this is your strength.
Yep.
You know, and
Right.
so
I can do it, but it won't be as good.
right? And that's the beauty of it. He doesn't have to feel threatened by me being a strong woman, but at the same token, I know when to allow him to be a man, right? I know when to allow him to be the man in the relationship. I often tell women, somebody got upset with me not too long ago because they were like, oh, Tina, we need to move this and do that. And I was like, Tina doesn't do setup. Like, I don't do setup. I don't move things. I can do a lot of things. But one thing I learned is I allow a man to be a man if there's a man in my presence. Now, if there's no man around and I need to move something, I'm gonna do one of these and there's nobody to call, then I'm gonna do it, right? But if there is a man in my presence, I don't care who that man is, I'm going to ask them, because women need to be needed a certain way, right? And men need to be uplifted. Their ego needs, whatever it is to be a man, allow them to be a man. So it's not genders, it's not what society says. It's that as a man, if this is something that gives you pleasure in doing, whether providing for me or making sure that I don't have to lift heavy things or whatever it is, but when you need me, I'm there.
Right.
We're a team when you need me, but for the most part, I'm going to allow you to be a man when you need to be a man.
Yeah.
That's what strong women need to know. I can be strong, I can be assertive, but I know when to be a woman and a lady and a wife as well.
Sure, because sometimes I don't want to fight certain battles. I say, baby, can you take care of this? Because I don't want to deal with this. I got an image to uphold. Everybody thinks I'm nice. So
True statement.
You know, when I was just a couple years ago, when I was in my 20s, I went to this workshop. Reverend Della was like, did this workshop called I Am a Woman Designed by God. And I was like, oh my God, I want to learn from her. You know, she talked about being on this perpetual honeymoon. That was, you know, okay, I want to learn from her. And so I'm in this lesson and I'm thinking, this is not for me. Like a lot of it, it's based on this book that talks about from a biblical perspective, the Jezebel in you, the Mary Magdalene in you, the Mary Mother of God. It's like all of these aspects of femininity that are in you. And I was like, nah, I'm good. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm good. This was cute, but that's not me. That's old timey stuff. Right, but I think that as you grow and evolve, as you get comfortable within yourself, you know I've dated men who won't let me open the door for myself. And I remember hating that. And then I remember, wait a minute, why do I hate that so much? Like, you know what I mean? Like, but that's where I got to in my level of awareness. Now I don't get out until someone's opening my door. That's my preference. So I think that the idea that you have to know yourself. You said you guys have accepted one another, and that's a real big key to relationships. So I want to say this because I'm looking at a couple that is in the public eye. You guys made a brand out of your marriage and said, hey, everybody, look and see who we are and how we work.
Yes, you are absolutely right. Yeah.
Are there any regrets around that? Like, how do you?
Yes, every day.
When it's not dope. When it's not dope, like, how do you regret that it's on Front Street?
It's always been on that. I mean, because listen, our kids play baseball, right? We're sitting up in the stands, you know, rooting for our kids or whatever. And people come over and, you know,
would ask us for advice.
Right. We're having relationship questions and answers.
We're in our late 20s, early 30s, and people, maybe in our 30s, and people are asking us questions about relationship, and I'm like, what is it? Right. Yeah, but because it's a difference. It's a difference, though. Right. You're in the forefront. Right. And then what happens is that people feel as though they have a right to judge you. Right. Mm-hmm. Right. And then so you're trying to share the knowledge that you have. So you have to kind of open up the door, but you have to put parameters around it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, you know, we're going to let you in as much as we want to let you in. Right. But that doesn't mean
you're not going to get everything.
And it doesn't mean that you get to judge or say or have a say in our relationship. Right. Mm-hmm. Right. And I think that's where the misconception is when people share, especially a marriage, right? It doesn't mean we don't have our ups and downs. It doesn't mean we don't fight. It doesn't mean we have all the answers.
Right.
What it means is that the knowledge that we do have, we would like to share it because we think sharing is important, right?
Yeah.
So we grow up and we're told, keep your business to yourself. Keep whatever happens in your
Right.
home.
Keep it behind
Keep it
closed
behind
doors.
closed doors. And that's why we struggle in relationships because we're all going through the same thing. And we don't have to air our dirty laundry. We don't have to pull the skeletons out the closet. But it's enough generalities where we can say, hey, we're all experiencing the same things. Let's talk about it. Tell us how you got through it. Hey,
Yeah.
share with other people how you got through it. Let's build families. Let's build relationships so that we can, as we talked about, so that we can build communities, right? Because we have stronger communities when we have a stronger family dynamics.
Absolutely.
But yeah, being in that front eye is something else. It
she
really
does
is.
that.
You know what? Because then when you really come to the front, it's like you're really being watched, even when you don't want to be watched.
Well, who I am is who I am. So I'm not changing for anybody, right? So I'm going to open the door. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I mean, I'm not paying any attention because this is basically what I've done from the very beginning of our marriage. So it's nothing new. People may be like, oh, you know, you're putting on the front or anything like that. And I tell people all the time, if you see me here, you'll see Jason. If you see me here, you'll see Jason. No matter where you see me, I'm the same individual. I don't put on the front. I don't try to pretend to be something that I'm not. Who I am is who I am.
But it can be a little nerve-wracking being in the forefront. It can.
Yeah, I can imagine. Hey, single versity, I see you out there. Thank you so much for that comment.
Yes.
And I listen, Pam, Dot, I see you all. Velma, I see you all out there tapping in. Pied Piper, Dot is out there making sure everybody comes to the yard.
Single versity is Lisa Saunders and David
On the panel.
on the panel.
Oh, nice. What's going on? Listen, I really, really appreciate it. I wish I could have pulled this was a very difficult, just inside behind the scenes, very difficult segment to produce because there was so much to pull from. And it takes a lot. Any teacher knows that it takes the hardest part of teaching is knowing what to cut away. And there was just so much goodness that was on there. Everybody had such a powerful perspective of their relationship, even as it related to, you talked about how you came together and you were going to classes together, and that being on one accord is a practice that has to be in there. So I heard people on the panel talking about that, you know, we both had to be saved. We both had to be, you know, like I'm talking about a Christ-centered relationship. And I think that regardless of how you phrase it, it's essentially saying we had to be on the same page. We had to be coming from that same place. Yeah. Or at least reaching for it. Because I'm not talking about perfection. It's like,
no, absolutely.
Is that the reach?
Absolutely. Or it's about paying attention to those yellow lights.
Yes.
Wanting someone who has Christ in their life, as opposed to getting someone and say, well, maybe they'll get them later, right? Realizing we're both saved, or we have to love the Lord, or whatever your saying is. Not negotiating your non-negotiables. I want someone who does this or this or this, and then you get someone and say, well, maybe I can force them or make them.
Well, once they get with me, they are changed.
Yeah,
You're not gonna do it when we get married.
See,
I mean, so let me give you some singleness up in here.
Okay.
Because one of the things about your non-negotiables is that sometimes they can be born out of pain. And so your non-negotiables can be like, meaning I've hear people in the dating world, it's like their non-negotiables are based on bad things that happened to them in previous relationships. And so it's like, I want you to examine your non-negotiables, because it could be that they're born out of pain, not truly where your boundaries are, but just out of a hurt space, right? I don't want to be hurt like that again. And so you can't wear purple on Tuesdays because
right.
That's when we're bad to each other. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think that's where the self-introspection comes from, right? When you're doing the self-work, because then you're healing, you're realizing, you're becoming aware, you're elevating. So the pain no longer it dissipates. Yeah. Because if we hold on to the pain, then we're still bringing it into the future with us. Right. But as we start to actually do the self-work, those things from the past become the past. And then we go, okay, that's where mindset and then attention. What is my intention in this new relationship? So that's a very good point, because we've talked about that before. Something happens and you go so far left. This happened and I'm never going to allow a person. And so you're judging someone else that may have good qualities and never do that based on what someone else does. But when we take the time to do the work, and I think Lisa said it on the panel, when you ask yourself, where did this come from? Did someone tell me this? Is it caused from pain? Is it deeply rooted? Where's the root cause of this? And let's figure it out, pull it up. And it's not the work of anybody else. It's self-work. And so, I know you brought it up, but even talking about our new book, Taking Your Relationship Off Cruise Control. So we broke it down into 5 different areas of relationships, right? The first one is your relationship with yourself, doing the work that needs to be done. So often we go, well, I just want someone to love me. Well, do you love yourself?
Right. Love you how?
I want someone to provide for me. Well, are you providing for yourself the way you would want someone to provide for you? So we talked about the first chapter is the relationship with yourself. The second chapter is about your relationship with your family, because everything is relational. When you have dysfunction and you don't handle it, it's coming.
It shows up in your relationship.
It shows, I don't care how you try to mask it. It shows up. Those erroneous thinking, those erroneous thoughts, those feelings, as Andrea said, the feeling part of it. Sometimes we don't even think about, how do I feel about my siblings, my parents, my upbringing? So, and then the third chapter was about the relationship with the people that you work with, your careers, right? And then your relationship to money and material things. And sometimes when we don't have, as a child, we want to get into relationships just for the material aspect of it. And then the last, your intimate relationships, but all of those play a part. So when the first chapter, I need to do the self-work on me before I can expect somebody to come in.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Like I hope you all are catching that. I put the title up there, Taking Your Relationship Off Cruise Control. That's their second book, right? Because there was a first book called Manifest a Joy-Filled Relationship.
Yep.
Right. So you get that relationship. Now you got to tend to it. That's what the
right.
second book is
That's right.
about.
Now the first book is heavy on self-work. I had a gentleman that purchased the book, and then he called us up and he goes,
He had just got to the introduction.
He goes, man, is it me?
This book is about me.
I said, keep reading. Keep working.
Yeah, it is. It's amazing when you really sit back and look at it, how you talk about family relationships, that sometimes it's, no, I'm nothing like my mother, or I'm nothing like my father, but it's like, but who are you outside of that relationship? Like, what if you had a very giving mother and you're like, my mother gave too much. I felt like she didn't experience herself in her dreams because she was giving to everybody else. Well, I'm not going to be like my mother. Well, is that really who you are? Or are you just in contrast to someone that you felt gave out of order? Like it's like discovering who you really are is, that's what this whole thing is about. We know that's what these relationships are, is discovering yourself. Yeah.
That's a very good point, because it wasn't until later in our relationship that I discovered that I was so assertive. I'm going to say assertive in life, because my mom was very, to me, passive. And it wasn't until I was older that I realized she was that quiet storm, right? She knew better. She knew things that I would have, did or defended or said or fighting my battles. She chose, no, ladies don't do this. Ladies don't fight. And I was like, oh, my mom is just so weak. And so I'm not going to be like that. And it wasn't until I became an adult that I realized that. Right. And so, as you said, those family dynamics, you look at your parents, you say, oh, they're so loud. I'm not going to be loud like that. But is that who you are? And that's where I had to find that balance within myself.
You have to find the life that you want to lead, right? Live. Right. The problem is, like you said, all these dynamics we have. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do this. I'm going to do this. I like this. And then when you get to the adult age, you're like, whose life are you living? Your child's life? Like when you were younger, your younger self, or your adult self? Because all of this is a combination of the things that you like and dislike.
Or you live in somebody else's version of you, right? When you grow up, don't get a woman who does this, or don't get a man who does that. Or...
I had a conversation, and I was working with a gentleman, and he said that, at 11 years old, his uncle told him, you can't trust women. And it sticks in his head, right? So he's got a wife. He loves his wife, but he said, man, I just have a hard time trusting her.
Trusting
women,
did
she give you any reason? Like, no, she doesn't. But it's just there. So that's, like I said, it's some things that you have to
forms us and what we have to prune away, right? What we have to prune away.
It takes work to do that, because I talk about it in the sense of your God concept, like who God is to you, that relationship, that there's the part that's embedded, And then there's what's deliberate, right? So deliberately, there are people trying to expand their understanding of God. I don't want to think about God as a person in the sky, like Santa Claus saying yes or no to my wishes and desires. I want to talk about this principle that is in me as me. I want to talk about love and power. And so that's more deliberate. Now I have to study and keep doing that. But when things hit the fan, it's like, please God, please, right? So what's embedded in me will begin
right.
to come out.
Exactly.
And so you have to examine that and keep deliberately telling yourself the truth. And so, I know a lot of people that, men are dogs, you can't trust women and all that. And that's running embedded in their operating system. And we got to be intentional, deliberate about telling ourselves the truth, right? Because, you're going to get what you hold to be true.
Exactly.
And that's just the way that it works. You know what I mean? It'd be nice if we got what we said we wanted, but you get what you believe.
And even if that person shows up, you can't keep them.
Yeah.
It's, you know, people say it all the time. Oh man, I let that one get away.
Right. Or we weren't ready. So people often say, oh, I want a gentleman. I want this. I want someone who's kind and considerate. And then when they get that person,
it's like, oh, he's too slow for me.
He's all kind of names, but you don't realize that you have to be what you're looking for.
Yep.
So this is actually a great segue into my last clip.
Okay.
Because this idea that you got to develop yourself comes out as some of these relationships were second marriages, or, there have been prior relationships and children and families kind of thing. So I love this.
Second marriages.
Yep. Yeah. Excluding Henry. Yeah. They were
all second marriages except for the committed.
Okay.
And then
the committed guy, the guy who was in a committed relationship.
Wasn't married before.
But then he was in. This is his different relationship.
His,
I don't know. So yeah.
So I thought that was really interesting, and I love what just what does it take, because for those who have had relationships that didn't work out, and are open to new relationships and wondering maybe why dear Lord, right? Am I not meeting this person? I thought this relationship was this clip was really good for that. All right, here we go.
And if I wasn't that person, then I had to develop the part that needed to be developed. So knowing that, I had to make sure that I wasn't showing up in this relationship like I showed up in the last one, because I'm a new creature in Christ now. So those old things are passed away, and behold, all things have become new. So every day I look at it as a new day, a new day of mercy, a new day of grace, a new day of love, a new day of expressing to David how much I just truly adore him.
It's so cute. They're adorable. Just adorable. But the idea that the old has to pass away, and I think that's probably, the old may have protected you at some point. The old may have served you at some point. The old definitely served you at some point. But for things to be made new, that old has to pass away. That right there, I think, is the biggest challenge, the biggest barrier to reinventing relationships or to beginning new ones. I think that can be the biggest one. What do you guys think?
Yeah, for sure. It's interesting, especially about look, Lisa's been on our podcast, right? And we found out some things live on the podcast. And it was interesting that she was actually going through the struggles that she was going through at the time.
In her marriage.
In her first marriage. And she kept it to herself, right? For whatever reason. And you respect it. But it's just like, wow, I thought we were kind of like moving in the right direction, right? So you can't, that's why I always say, you don't tell me how many years you've been together or how many years you've been married. Tell me how many of those years you've been happy. Because that's what it's all about. If you're not happy, it doesn't matter how many years that you've been together. So when she says those things, I know where they're coming from, right?
Yeah.
Because you spent years being unhappy, and then you spend a season developing yourself so you don't show up in the next relationship unhappy.
And that's a very good point, because oftentimes we want a different relationship, we want a different person, we want a different experience, but we want to show up the same.
Yeah.
We don't want to change anything. It was never me.
Yep.
We don't want to change anything about ourselves. Right. And so it's not me, it was him.
Yep.
It's not me, it was her. And so when you want something different, you have to become the version of that different.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's sort of like, even if we're talking about relationships, if we're talking about work, if we're talking about dreams, right? We all have these big dreams. And we would have those dreams if we were that version of ourselves that could have that dream.
Right.
But we have to
Mhm.
change some things. We have to change some things about ourselves in order to become the person that I need to be to draw forth or to experience that dream or that person or that relationship. So that's very, when you just talked about, right, the past served us.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
It was a learning lesson because obviously it was something in us that needed to be developed, or we had to gain some awareness. And now
Yes.
that hopefully, if we know better, we can do better. But
Mhm.
knowing means I have to look at myself. I can't blame the other person. What part did I play? Why did I attract this to myself? Why was it okay
Mhm.
that I experienced what I experienced? How do I
Yeah.
become different? How do I become new? And now I can experience something new.
Yeah, it is what that it listen, all of this is just gold nuggets because we do need to be introspective. I was dating this guy, and yes, Reverie dates, guys, in case you didn't know.
You
Okay.
do?
I date.
Do you find it hard?
Listen, we can have a whole that invite me on your podcast. I'll talk to you about the Reverend who dates. So I was dating this guy. Huh? Yeah, we're gonna rewind on that, right?
Right. The rewind. Right.
I was dating this guy briefly, and he had been married for 20 plus years, and he was divorced. And I asked him, so what did you learn from your marriage? Like, what did you learn about yourself that
Right.
in your marriage? And he was like, basically, like nothing. Like that he felt like he said what he said, he did what he did. And I realized a non-negotiable, which is
Yeah.
you gotta grow. Like I
Right.
discovered that if you can't tell me how you've grown, then
And see,
I can't play with you.
Right.
Right. That's exactly what I mean by you don't have a list, but you know it when you hear it.
Yeah.
You're like,
When it pop
oh,
up,
yeah.
you go like, yep.
Oh yeah.
Time to exit.
You just smile at the table and your mind is going, oh yeah.
Yeah. You didn't do
Have
anything
Good job.
wrong.
Anything to
Hey,
do?
you paid attention to that yellow light.
Yes.
Right?
It's like the end. You don't have anything to do with the end. Oh gosh, I love perfect people. They're my favorite. But that
Yep.
it is really, really, really exciting to explore love this way. To be able to talk about this because we're laughing, and I know some people are in pain in their relationships, and
Mhm.
Absolutely.
they're looking for some breakthroughs. And so I hope that you've opened up your mind, opened up your ears to hear what you needed, no matter what relationship you're directing this at, right? That intimacy can be developed in any relationship. And that's what we're really getting at is that intimacy relationship. Now, these are romantic. We're talking about being married and dating, but principle goes across the board, right? That's the cool thing about
Principle
working
doesn't
with
change.
principle.
Absolutely.
Doesn't change. You can apply it to anything. So I'm so grateful for this conversation. I know it's been enriching to me. I hope you all who have been listening have enjoyed it. I'm gonna invite y'all back on so that we can play some more
Let's get
in
deeper.
the
There you
land
go.
of love. But I don't want to jump off of here without just plugging. I want you to tell me a little bit more about your book. So you have 2 books. And I love a first book because that's the jump off, right? And that you have a new book that's out. So tell me a little bit about book 1 and book 2.
Okay. Go ahead, baby.
Okay, so book 1 is Manifest a Joy-Filled Relationship.
Let me see.
And we initially wrote it for couples, but in the midst of it, it didn't go that way. And it's using universal principles to get the relationship you desire.
Mhm.
And so it's about it's any relationship. It's a book written for married, single, divorced, young, old, in between, anyone who's looking to realize so we have these laws of the universe.
Yep.
And they're there whether we want to recognize them or not, right?
Yep.
We can believe there's no such thing as the law of gravity if we want to walk on top of a building and jump off, right?
That's up
There's
to
no
you.
such thing. These laws exist, and if we apply them the where they're supposed to be applied in our lives, we can actually use them to benefit our introspection, our self-development, our self-elevation. And so it was written for anyone at any age, for any point. And you may
Heavy
be
on metaphysics.
heavy on metaphysics a little bit.
Heavy on metaphysics.
So, but it's awareness, right?
Right.
Because if you're not aware that these laws exist and these principles are true no matter who you are,
Right.
and you apply them in your life. So that was the first book. And like I said, it's for anyone. The second book was, you want to do it? Or you want me to do it?
Yeah, I got it, baby. Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, you do your thing, mom.
Okay, so the second book was taking your relationships off cruise control.
Yep.
So what we realized is that, and this one is a lot smaller because
Yep.
everybody was like, okay, dang, 300 pages.
You
how
know,
you
it's
gonna get
funny, 300 pages and we still weren't through writing.
It's
right?
like a whole
So
computer full of stuff. But
right.
but this is a whole new book. And so it's only 118 pages and it helps you give you space. But we realize the importance of people realizing that everything is relational. If you're not happy at home, you're not going to be happy at work.
Mhm.
And I often tell people when you encounter someone who's unhappy, you don't know what's going on in their lives, right?
Mhm.
So, but we have to do the work. We get used to being unhappy and we think that's the normal. So our homeostasis is, first you get unhappy, you're sad, and then you get used to it. And then when happiness comes, it's like something odd to you because you're used to sitting in unhappiness. So it's to make us aware that the natural progression of life, God created us to feel good, to be happy, to create, whatever, to be creative. And you can't do that sitting in unhappiness, right? That statement, misery loves company, is so true. But it's to bring awareness of what do I need to do, not something outside of me,
Only me.
not my coworker, not my mom, not my kids. What do I need to do to get myself to a place where I'm living life healthy, happy, and prosperous?
Well said. Those are two very much needed books, right?
Yep.
So
Yep.
listen, I want to tell people this real quick because I know sometimes big, thick books intimidate us.
Yes,
These
right?
are novels.
I didn't know page count was a thing,
It's
right?
a thing.
So,
It's a thing.
I was like, man, I'm finished the book, and everybody's, man, how many pages do you have? I'm like, I don't know. Who cares?
But what I will say is that when you have a book like this, right, where you're growing and learning, that it's about the time you spend doing the activity. It's not a novel. It's not a novel that you got to read beginning to end.
Right.
So I have books that I have.
Just work
It's
on
like one chapter. I have been over and over that chapter because I really needed that. I'm reading a book right now that is 12 chapters, and I've decided to take a year to read it. It's one of the books I'm reading, but I want to take time with it and to sit with it and, not rush through it like I'm in school, right? Which is where some of our habits behind reading come from, which is I got to get this done to take the test. So yeah, I'm grateful for both. And I think they're both really needed, especially the idea of, like I said, the jump off book, right? The first book, we got to get it all in there, right?
Yeah,
And it is
everything.
Right.
It is, and don't leave that other stuff on the shelf. That might need to be part of book 3 if it hasn't come out in some other form. Because if God gave it to you, it's meant to be given.
Yeah.
We want one more plug. So we are starting back up the Married Couples Club. So we have a meet and greet at Christ Universal Temple on September 27th at 11:30. So for all of the committed, engaged, and married couples, come on out to Christ Universal Temple and let's meet you. And it's in person or virtual.
Yep.
And you don't have to belong to the church. You can just come. It's a part of the church, but you don't have to belong to the church. It's just for married, engaged, or committed couples.
Yeah, I don't think the church knows it's going to be virtual, but it's going to be virtual.
Yeah, that sounds great. So it'll be, where is it? You're doing it in the Faith Chapel?
We don't know.
Okay.
Right now we just announced it, so we have to start getting our numbers in.
Yep.
Okay. Great. That's really exciting. I'm so glad. I can't wait to hug your neck this weekend. I'll be in the temple this Sunday because we're launching Manifest.
Yep.
And I'm excited about that. The second cohort of Manifest, we're launching it, and there will be
We'll be there.
I got my T-shirt the first time.
Yep.
Congratulations. So Manifest is a 4-week program, really talking about the power of affirmation, and the in-person version begins this Sunday, but I'm doing 2 cohorts of virtual. So if you are part of the virtual community, you can join in and just, if you're in the collective Facebook group, you can see that information. We'll be sending it out. If you are like, I don't know where to find this stuff, go to manifest.cutemple.org and you can sign up there. All right. So lots of good stuff. And I'm excited about Manifest. I'm excited about this conversation being the first of many. And I'm grateful for your time. I'm grateful for you sharing your heart, sharing your experiences, letting me come up with all my questions. They weren't vetted, guys.
We were not.
We were not.
They weren't vetted. And I thank you for letting me create this safe space for us to share.
Yes. Always.
We'll be back with the rewind next week. I believe Rev Wells is back in the pulpit, and so we'll be kicking off a new series next week. If you didn't get a chance to see this lesson series, I want you to go back to go to YouTube at CU Temple. If you're on Facebook, you can find them on Facebook as well. I think Facebook is not only saving 30 days of video content.
Yeah.
Yep.
So YouTube is your jam if you want to go further back. And you can listen to any of the rewinds as well at the CU Temple at the CUT page on YouTube. But again, thank you so much. We'll be back next week with more rewind. Go out and purchase these books. Let me say, you got to support your people. You got to support people who are spreading love, who are spreading knowledge that transforms, and want to make sure that that they feel it in their pockets, right? That we go out and support and leave a comment about the book. You know, Amazon, how many of us buy things when we go look at the comments?
Come on.
Leave a comment.
Please,
you know
please
what? We became Amazon bestsellers. Like I don't know, shortly after the book came out.
A couple of days after the book came out.
And I'm telling people, I even put a
QR
code in
go
there.
leave the review.
You don't.
And we're still asking, right? Hundreds of books sold and 2 reviews. We're like, people, please go leave the review.
Leave a review. Listen.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That was important.
Can I say one thing about purchasing the book? So they can go to legendaryrelationship.com to purchase the book. Either one. So you can, at that time, you can have an option. You can buy it from us. You'll get it autographed, or you can buy it from Amazon. Then you could probably get a little bit quicker. But either way,
it's a benefit both ways, right? The benefit, it's a benefit both ways. So I do have it. You guys will see in the closing that you can find this powerful couple at Legendary Relationships on most of the social channels. Relationship. Oh, I hope it's not a typo. Listen, if y'all see an S on there, ignore it.
As my wife always says, we in one relationship at a time.
Yes, that part. Legendary Relationship at and that's on YouTube, that's on Instagram, on Facebook. I don't know if you had a Twitter.
Yeah, no, I do, but I don't use it anymore.
Okay.
But we on TikTok.
But we on TikTok.
There you go.
Did I say Twitter? I meant TikTok.
Oh yeah, we on TikTok.
Okay, so at Legendary Relationship, you can find them, follow them, and subscribe where you see it. And again, thank you so much. Let's give our gratitude by engaging. I appreciate you. I love you, and I'm so grateful for you. This has been dope. This has been absolutely
loved it. Thank you. I love the rewind.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So we'll be back next week. God bless you all. Have a great rest of your day. God bless you.